So today's video is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. Today I wanted to spend a few minutes answering some questions and comments that I've been getting on the channel. Now I get thousands and thousands of comments on the YouTube channel, on Reddit, on Mastodon, through email, through various other social media. And obviously I can't respond to everything, but especially in the last month, I've been getting a lot of questions and comments about various forms of social media. So I wanted to really focus on that in this video. You guys have been asking me a lot about YouTube, especially my channel on YouTube, things that maybe you guys want to see me do, things you want to see me stop doing. You guys have been asking me a lot about LBRY. You know, in the last month, I've really focused heavily on promoting LBRY as an alternative to YouTube. Mastodon, you guys know I've been promoting Mastodon for a couple of years, and I've been getting a lot of questions and comments about Mastodon. A lot of you guys are actually very critical of Mastodon, and I want to address some of that today. We may also address my thoughts on Facebook and Twitter, in case you don't know, and maybe my thoughts on Reddit as well, since I do actually hang out on Reddit occasionally. Now, some of the questions and comments that I get on YouTube, especially about my content on YouTube, one of the most common things I get on YouTube is, hey, why don't you make this content? Why don't you make that content? Why don't you cover this on your channel? Guys, obviously, there's a certain kind of theme to the channel. Obviously, I cover Linux and I cover free and open source software. I'm not going to do proprietary stuff on the channel. So occasionally you guys ask me to do Windows content. For one thing, I don't use Windows. I haven't used Windows in 12 years as far as a daily desktop driver. I've been strictly a Linux user on the desktop for 12 years now. I know nothing about any version of Windows past XP. I can't do Windows content. I would be doing a disservice trying to cover a topic like Windows. There are other people out there that do Windows content. Go check out their channels. It's strange when you guys ask me to check out stuff that I'm completely unsuited to cover. So, you know, I like covering Linux stuff, free and open source software, window managers, you know, the command line applications, terminal-based applications, things like that. I'm rather ill-suited to cover a lot of the big proprietary products out there. Sometimes you guys have asked me about things like VMware. Why are you using VirtualBox? Check out VMware. Well, VMware is proprietary, and I can't stand the company. The company is shady as hell. They were actually sued one time for violating the GPL, which is kind of odd because VMware is actually one of the members of the Linux Foundation, if you can believe that. So you know, the content I'm going to make ultimately is the content I want to make, the content I'm comfortable making. That's the only content that makes sense for me. That's really the only content that should make sense for any content creator on YouTube, is make the videos you want to make. I can't make the videos that some of you guys want me to make, because if it's something I'm not comfortable talking about or demonstrating on camera, I'm not going to bother, because what would be the point? Some of you guys are also, one of the things I get a lot here lately too, is more and more people are like, you know, some of the stuff I cover on the channel is a little bit more advanced topics, especially when I get into the command line stuff and demonstrating, you know, shell commands and shell scripting, things like that. And you guys are like, hey man, could you do some more noob content? You know, dumb it down a little bit. Can we get some easier fluff content? And, you know, I'm not against occasional fluff kind of content, but it's not something that I enjoy doing. Like, if all you want is just a standard look at, you know, the latest version of Ubuntu or something like that, there's other channels to go check out. That stuff doesn't interest me at all. You know, sometimes I get people asking me, hey man, can you cover how to install fonts on Linux? I mean, really basic stuff. How to burn an ISO to a USB stick so I can install Linux. Like really Linux 101 kind of stuff. And that stuff doesn't interest me. I wouldn't enjoy making that kind of content. I would, if I made that kind of content, I promise you, you guys would see that I wouldn't enjoy it. I would basically be just phoning it in all the time. And you guys see content creators on YouTube that do this. they are obviously not having fun making the content that they're making, that they're just phoning it in. The only reason they're even covering that topic is because they think it will get them views. More views on YouTube means more ad revenue, more money. I don't want to be that kind of content creator. Again, I want to make the content I want to make. I want to make the content that makes me happy. like when I watch my videos, if I go back and watch a video, I can say, you know what, I'm proud of that video. You know, I'm glad I covered that topic. That topic needed to be covered, and I think I did it in a good way. Another kind of comment that I get all the time is, you know, people that complain about certain kinds of videos that I occasionally do. Some recent examples. So in the last week, you know, I made a live stream, a gaming live stream, because, you know, I don't game. I'm not a gamer. It's very rare that I feel like firing up a game on my computer and playing for a few minutes. Maybe 4 times a year I'll feel like gaming. And since I have a YouTube channel, you know, I'll fire up a game and I'll go ahead and just click start streaming, and I'll live stream it, because why not? And then I'll ask the community if they want to join me in game. So it's kind of fun. It's a community interaction, right? But some of you guys, that's obviously not my usual content. Gaming is not my content. But you guys will see that, you know, those 3 or 4 times a year that I game on a live stream, and you're like, DT, what the hell are you doing? Why are you gaming? Quit doing that. Why don't you get back to doing Linux tutorials? Well, I wasn't planning on doing a Linux tutorial, right? I wasn't even planning on making content at all. I'm just at my house enjoying myself gaming. I thought, hey, I'd stream it, and if any of you guys want to join me, great. You guys that think that somehow me doing a gaming live stream 3 or 4 times a year is taking away from my other content, you guys need to check yourselves, because you weren't getting any content that night. You can either watch the gaming stream that I did or don't watch it. I mean, I'm not expecting views when I do those kinds of streams anyway. I'm not doing it. I know I'm not going to get any views because that's not the topic of the channel. You know, gaming is not a major topic of the channel, so I know no one's really going to watch it. But the main thing is interacting with the community. Those of you that do want to play a game with me every now and then, that's why I do that kind of stuff. It's strange though how many people get mad when I do those kinds of streams, or my pre-recorded stuff. Occasionally I will veer into other topics, like the recent video I did about Stephen King leaving Facebook. You're like, man, what the hell does this have to do with GNU/Linux? Why are you covering this celeb, you know, leaving Facebook? You know, well, it kind of goes to some of the other areas of the channel. I often talk about the evils of proprietary software, and I talk about, you know, your digital privacy and your digital freedom. So it definitely does stick with the theme of the channel, but you know, some of you guys are like, I don't like that kind of content. That's not the content I want to be here for. Make a video about, you know, something to do with Vim or Emacs next time. And it's like, you know what? I make the content that I want to make. And a lot of times the videos I make, they're not planned. I don't plan videos way ahead of time. It's just what I feel like making that day. Like this video here. I decided to make this video 10 minutes before I started recording. You know, that's the way these things go. And the reason I like doing that is just because it keeps me sane, right? It's not like this is work. It's not like I'm doing something that I don't want to do. Like if I plan stuff way ahead of time and then it's like, oh, I got to make this video about Vim today, even though I don't really feel like it. No, you know, when I decide it's time to record something, I sit down to record something and I record whatever's on my mind, what I feel like doing that day. And of course, this kind of segues into the next really group of questions that I get all the time. Is a lot of you guys ask me about starting your own YouTube channels. And I don't get a lot of these questions actually on YouTube, because YouTube, you would have to ask it in a public venue. And most people ask this particular question privately. So 9 times out of 10, when somebody asks me how to start a YouTube channel, what they need to do, they're going to do it privately. So they're going to email me, or they're going to private message me on Mastodon, or maybe now on my website, on my web forum, or through a private message, maybe on Reddit. And I've gotten a lot of these over the last couple of years. And, you know, it's great because usually these people follow through and actually start channels. And I've seen some of these channels that these guys that originally emailed me or whatever and asked for, advice on what to do. And some of these guys, their channels are really starting to grow and flourish. So let's talk about, some of the questions these guys typically ask. Probably the biggest question that potential beginner YouTubers ask is, hey, what do I need to get started? And that's usually how they ask it. I'm very general. What do I need to get started making YouTube videos? Well, for one thing, you need to figure out what kind of content you want to make. So think about a topic. Think about a topic, a niche. Don't think that you can make videos about every possible thing, thinking you're going to have some kind of general topic channel where one day you're gaming, one day you're talking about cooking, the next day you're talking about cosmetics. Don't do that. If your videos are all over the map, you're not going to gain a loyal following. You're not going to gain a lot of subscribers, and people will be there for one kind of video you make but won't even bother watching the other kinds of videos you make. So make sure you pick a topic, pick a name that makes sense, pick a name that actually reflects that topic, and be careful with the name too. So many YouTubers don't take the name seriously. They pick a name, and it has nothing to do with the topic at hand. And then they start the channel becomes popular. And then they realize their name is completely inappropriate. And then they have to change the name, change the branding. It gets confusing for your viewers if you're constantly changing the name of the channel. So spend some time before you start a channel thinking about the name. Really think about the branding. Some other things to think about: equipment. People often ask about equipment. Now, when you're starting on YouTube, don't worry about equipment. Really, all you need is, depending on what kind of style video you're doing. If you're doing more of a vlog kind of style, really a cell phone is all you need, because especially the modern cell phones today, the big brands like, the iPhones or the Samsung phones, the video quality on those phones is actually pretty good. And the microphones on those are surprisingly good. Matter of fact, the microphone is probably better than the crappy headset gaming mic you might have laying around the house. It's certainly going to be better than the onboard microphones on your laptops. So a lot of times, just get started on your cell phone. Again, if that's the kind of content you're doing, the vlogging kind of content where you're walking around, the man on the street kind of content. Now, if you're doing something stationary, well, you could still use your cell phone, but probably need to put it on a tripod, mount it somewhere so it's steady. But if you're doing something like at a desk or in a studio kind of setting, you're going to make videos in the same spot all the time, you might want to invest $50 to $100 on a decent microphone. So go buy you a USB microphone is what you're going to have to buy, because once you get into XLR mics, you got to buy either an audio interface or a mixing board and things like that. So just go buy. What I recommend is just, if you're serious early on, go spend $100 on a Blue Yeti. It's a USB mic and the sound is pretty decent on that microphone. Other than that, camera, any decent Logitech webcam is perfect for starting out. Don't go spend a bunch of money, though, on equipment when you start your YouTube channel. There's no point, because really, the secret to getting started on YouTube is really getting started on YouTube. The secret is just to start making videos. Start making content consistently. That's the trick. That's what most people have a problem with. It's just getting started. Can you make a video every day for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months? If you can do that, you could be successful. Most people don't have that kind of drive, that passion. Most people, you see this in all aspects of life. People start things and then they get bored and then they just let it fall by the wayside. That's a very bad habit that most people have. Don't be like that. Start something, stick to it. The goal really should be, when you start, to make at least 100 videos, because until you make 100 videos, you're not really going to have any idea what the hell you're doing. You're not going to know anything about video editing, audio editing, creating thumbnails, SEO. You're not going to have any idea about any of this stuff until you get some practice in. The only way to get practice in this stuff is to just do it. So just start making content. So that's always been my thing with new YouTubers, is just make content consistently. If you can do that, you're good. And if you can make content consistently, YouTube's algorithms reward you. That's really the trick. Don't be one of those people that makes a video every day for a week, disappears for 2 months, then comes back, makes a video every day for 2 weeks, then disappears for 6 months. YouTube does not like those kinds of channels. They're not going to promote your videos if you're that kind of inconsistent content creator. The other thing you guys often ask about beginning a YouTube channel is, formatting. What kind of format of a show should I do? Should I do a vlog kind of show? Should I do this? Should I have a studio? Should I have a lower third in the screen? Do I need to do in-screen kind of graphics? What about B-roll? Things like that. Man, just do whatever it is that feels right to you. Again, just start making content. You will figure out what you like. You will figure out what you're good with. Video editing is the same way. People ask me about, hey, what about video editing? Is that the key to success on YouTube? I don't think video editing plays that big a role in whether people find your content interesting or not. Some of my videos are quite heavily edited because those videos that I edit typically need editing. Depending on the kind of content I'm making that day. And then there are other videos where I don't edit anything. Like this video here that I'm recording, I doubt I'm going to edit anything in it. This is not a scripted video. Nothing is scripted that I'm, this very long rant I've been on. So I doubt I'll edit this video at all, other than if there's, some strange pauses, some uncomfortably long pauses, you cut out some silence. But you're not going to see any weird editing with this video, and I'm sure people will watch it, and people will watch your video. Even early on when you know nothing about video editing, don't worry about it. As you get comfortable editing video, you may play around with some other techniques, but that's fine too. But don't think that video editing will make or break you as a YouTuber. The other thing you want to do when you're a beginning YouTuber is don't worry about the analytics. Don't constantly worry about how many new subscribers you got that day, how many views you got that day, what the watch time is and things like that. The YouTube analytics are really good. They're very powerful. They give you a lot of information, but don't let the analytics paralyze you as a content creator, because then you start chasing the views, right? Because it's all about the views. It's all about ad impressions and all about the money. And if you get wrapped up in the analytics, then that dominates all of your decisions. And a lot of times that leads you to make some pretty poor decisions on the kind of content you end up making. So don't worry about the analytics. Don't worry about the subscribers, the views. All you need is you. Your opinion matters, right? Are you happy with the content you're putting out? If the answer is yes, keep doing it, because eventually you will be rewarded. Also, we need to talk about the community interaction around your YouTube channel. Be sure to engage the community, especially early on when you start a channel. The easiest way to quickly gain a loyal following is to interact with your viewers. When they comment on your channel, on your videos, make sure you respond to them. Make sure you have some interaction with the community. Do the occasional live stream where you can interact live. Maybe invite the community, to join you on camera, like I did the other night in a video game. Be careful, though, interacting with the community too much, because you will get the trolls, you will get the haters, and just ignore all of that stuff. That is something that I think causes a lot of channels to fail, is some people take the trolls seriously. Don't take the trolls seriously. Anybody that says, hey man, you suck, hey man, that video was terrible, hey man, you look funny, don't bother viewing those comments, and definitely don't respond to those comments. You would waste so much time if you responded to the trolls. Just ignore them. If you want to ban them, just ban them all and just move on with your life, because that is one of the things that leads to burnout, is having to interact with all that negativity. And we should also talk about burnout. Make sure you don't burn yourself out doing YouTube. If you feel like that you can't keep up with the pace of everything, if it's starting to wear you out mentally and physically, slow down, take a break. I've often taken breaks on my channel where, I'm making videos nearly every day, but occasionally I'll disappear for a week and I'll let everybody know, hey, taking a week off, or 4 days, 3 days, whatever it happens to be. And you know what? The channel's still here when I come back. It's not like I lose subscribers. It's not like you lose views or anything. Maybe the views go down a little bit because you didn't put out any new content. But trust me, everybody that was there when you left will be there when you get back. Now, one of the biggest topics on the channel in the last month has been LBRY, LBRY, LBRY. It is a free and open source alternative to YouTube. So I did a video about LBRY, that I was syncing all my content over on LBRY. I was joining LBRY finally because you guys have been asking me about it for months. So I made that video, and that video has gotten a lot of views. I've also noticed that LBRY, the platform, is starting to really explode in popularity. Every week there's more channels on the site, more viewers, and I'm not talking about just a couple of more. It's exponentially growing. And it's growing very fast. And now is the time to get in at the beginning, but before everybody else is on that train. So, and it's so easy to sync your content to LBRY. Why wouldn't you be on LBRY? You just go, you enter your channel name or whatever in a form, you log into your YouTube account, sync your YouTube account to your LBRY account, and it just pulls down all your videos. No work involved on your part at all. So if you've got a YouTube channel, start syncing your content on LBRY, because honestly, there's revenue to be made on LBRY. And I wasn't sure about this when I first joined, but I will tell you that video I made announcing I was moving to LBRY. I made that video, 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, something like that. And the way LBRY works is there's no ads on LBRY. To make money on LBRY, everybody has this cryptocurrency on LBRY called LBC, LBRY credits. You earn these LBCs by viewing the channel, following people on the channel. There's certain things you can do to earn LBC. And then once you have some LBC, you can tip videos. You can tip creators. And that's how you make money on LBRY as a creator, is through tips from your viewers. This is so much better a revenue model than the AdSense model on YouTube, because AdSense, everybody's videos are monetized on YouTube. Ads are showing on everybody's channel. And, the really, really good content creators don't necessarily make more money, per ad than the really bad ones, right? Well, it's different on LBRY, because if people really like your content, if you've got a really strong following, they're going to tip you. They're going to donate, and they're going to donate generously. In the last 3 weeks being on LBRY, I've made something nearly 30,000 LBCs in donations, which is quite a bit of money if I cashed it out. I want to say the exchange rates right now for 30,000 LBC would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 to $700. Not an insignificant amount of money, right? Not life-changing money, and it's not enough money that you could live off of, right? You couldn't be a full-time LBRY video creator and live off that, obviously, as it's not there yet, mainly because there's not enough viewers on the platform yet. But say 6 months from now, when there's 5, 10, 20 times as many viewers on that platform than currently, then it starts becoming a very serious alternative to YouTube. Maybe then people like me and other YouTube creators can get off of YouTube if we don't want to be there. And maybe we get off of YouTube, not necessarily because we don't want to be on YouTube, but maybe because we can make so much more money over on LBRY, because it has that kind of potential. I can tell you, to make $600-700 in 3 weeks on LBRY, I think I have 3,000 followers on LBRY, maybe not even that much. I have about 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. 50,000, 3,000. But, as far as revenue, the AdSense revenue versus the LBC donations I'm getting on LBRY, it's crazy. Like I've got so fewer followers on LBRY to make that kind of money. I'm just blown away by it. Again, if you're not on LBRY as a content creator, if you've got a YouTube channel, sync your content to LBRY. It just makes sense, because there's money there to be made, and you don't have to do anything to get it, because again, LBRY syncs all your videos for you. So if you're not on LBRY, you're just turning down free money. And switching to another social media site, Mastodon. So I've done a lot videos about Mastodon. You guys know I promote Mastodon heavily on my YouTube channel. I have more than 2,000 followers over on Mastodon. And I really think that is the alternative to Facebook and Twitter. Get off of Facebook and Twitter. They're proprietary garbage. They're not safe. They violate your privacy. They sell your information to other businesses, to government agencies. They are very damaging to your freedom. And Mastodon is probably the best alternative right now. Mastodon has exploded in popularity in the last couple of years too. I've really seen it take off. And I get a lot of comments and questions about Mastodon, and some of you guys, I think, just don't get it as far as Mastodon. Mastodon is a federated network. It is not a single site. It is not like Facebook or Twitter, where there's only one Facebook, one Twitter. If you violate their rules, they kick you off the site, they ban you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go to another Facebook or another Twitter. Mastodon, there's thousands of Mastodon servers out there, Mastodon instances. And they all have their own set of rules, varying set of rules. If you don't like the instance you're on, or you get banned from one instance, you can go to another, maybe one that fits your particular worldview. Maybe you won't get banned from that one for whatever you did on the other one. Because you guys comment, oh, I joined Mastodon, but they're just as bad as Twitter because they banned me. Well, Mastodon didn't ban you. Mastodon's the software that's running on that server, right? The guy that ran that Mastodon server banned you. So you guys that are comparing Mastodon to Facebook, Facebook is a company, Mastodon is a piece of free and open source software that anybody can run. There's no comparison to be made there. And then some of you guys are like, well, the guys that create Mastodon, like the lead dev, he's for censorship because on the main website for Mastodon, which is joinmastodon.org, they only list about 30 or 40 servers for you to join. They don't list every Mastodon instance on the planet, especially because some of them promote things like racism and homophobia and things like that. Well, of course, he doesn't do that because he doesn't agree with that. That's not what his website, joinmastodon.org, is about. So he chooses not to list those kinds of sites. That's his right, right? Again, it's just his site. Even though he's the lead dev of Mastodon, that doesn't mean your instance of Mastodon can't show instances of Mastodon on your site or federate with other instances of Mastodon that maybe promote these kinds of topics, things like gambling and prostitution and things like that, where, some other more family-friendly instances of Mastodon, they don't want to link to those kinds of sites. But that doesn't mean that there's censorship on Mastodon, because, again, Mastodon is not one site. Mastodon is just a piece of software that all these servers happen to be running, but they're all running it with varying rule sets. And just because one site has this rule set, one side has this rule set, basically, if you can't find an instance of Mastodon out there that fits with your beliefs, create your own instance, right? It's free and open source software. It's not that hard to start your own Mastodon server. So you guys complaining about Mastodon, comparing it to things like Facebook and Twitter, you are so off base. It's not even funny. And the last bit of social media I'll talk about just briefly is Reddit. I have had an account over on Reddit for a couple of years, and I actually have my own subreddit, a DistroTube subreddit over there. I only post over there when I make a video. It's kind of like a signal service. When I make a video, I post it to the DistroTube subreddit. I don't hang out there. Reddit obviously is not free and open source, but I don't mind having an account there. Even if I don't post there very often, I do sometimes go to various Linux and open source related subreddits, r/Linux, r/command line, r/Arch Linux, because you can get some good information there. I don't mind browsing the Reddits, every now and then, but I don't post there very often. And I typically am not going to respond to posts or comments over there on Reddit. Now, if you direct message me on Reddit, I'll probably respond unless it's something crazy. And I should mention, regarding social media, these sites in general, regardless whether it's Mastodon, Reddit, or even through my email, or if you come to distrotube.com and message me on the forums. Now, I'm not going to respond to just anything. If it's spam, obviously, I'm not going to respond. If it's an obvious troll post, I'm not going to respond. The other thing I'm not going to respond to is if it's some random support request. I get support requests, a dozen of them a day. And I'm talking about support requests for things I don't even use. Distros I'm not currently running, equipment I've never owned. Guys, this is not a support forum. And why would you come to one random YouTuber for a support request? Go to a proper support channel. Go to your distro's web forums or your distro's IRC channels. There could be hundreds, maybe thousands of people in those channels just waiting to help someone. You are so much more likely to get help with your problem asking in the proper channels than just asking one random person on the internet. I don't know why you guys ask me some of these crazy support questions that you occasionally do. It's not to be mean. I just don't have time. Even if I happen to know the answer, if it's a quick answer, I might respond. But even if I knew the answer, I may not respond because I get so many of these kinds of questions a day. So it's nothing personal. But then again, you need to take a little more responsibility and make sure you're asking these kinds of questions in the right places. And before I go, I do need to thank a few people here. These names you're seeing on the screen, of course, these are the patrons, the supporters of the channel. Without these guys, this channel wouldn't be possible. A sincere thank you to each and every one of these ladies and gentlemen that you're seeing on the screen right now. And as always, if you'd like to support the channel, consider doing so. You know where to find me, guys. I'm over at Patreon. Just look for DistroTube over on Patreon. All right. Peace.